This is utterly obscene. This is a story here where House Democrats, they were agreeing with Biden and offering this $762 billion for the defense, which, look, and it still hasn't increased. This is the story right here. And again, it's a $32 billion increase over the fiscal year 22 defense budget, okay? Again, okay, $32 billion increase, okay? Not small potatoes. Yet here, you've got the Senate Armed Services Committee. They want the bill to be $847 billion. That's damn near $1 trillion in 1 year for the defense. And don't forget, let me pull this up. You might remember when we gave more money to the Defense Department, when I think it was that McCain bill. That was let's see here. Let's see what that bill was. That was $716 billion that went to them. We could go on and on and on, and it's amazing. We ain't got money for nothing else, but we damn sure got money for more and more defense spending.
I don't understand the rationale behind that outside of the theory, because I haven't really read into this, but my theory is that the only reason that the United States is considered a world power is because of its defense. Outside of that, we don't necessarily have anything worth giving to the rest of the global community because we just don't have it. Like, we have exported everything out. We have outsourced everything that Americans need outside of defense. And that is unfortunate because it means that the things that Americans do need aren't being met by our own government. But it does not surprise me that a country that still won't change gun laws, still won't acknowledge actual life, like the people who are on the planet as we speak aren't being protected nearly as much as a private investor in a defense firm. It is unfortunate, but it's also not surprising.
To run, I remember a story that came under, and this took place during the Obama administration. This is the story here. This was December 2016. Headline: Pentagon buries evidence of $125 billion in bureaucratic waste. $125 billion. Lead said the Pentagon has buried an internal study that exposed $125 billion in administrative waste in its business operations amid Congress would use the findings as an excuse to slash the defense budget. Well, no shit. And what I don't understand is, when are you going to have political leaders say, yo, Pentagon, here's the whole deal. Why don't y'all get rid of the $125 billion in waste and then holler at us next year when it comes to giving y'all a raise? This real basic. If your brother or sister kept borrowing money from you and kept spending on some bullshit and wasting it, you could be like, yeah, dog, you ain't getting my money. Not from me.
You will never go broke in Washington being either a middleman or a defense contractor.
Never.
That's just the cold hard truth. There will always be money. Like, we just celebrated the anniversary, Tupac's anniversary. His classic line was, "They got money for wars but can't feed the poor." That's real. People in government can always find money for weapons. They can always find money for whatever they want to find it for. And as far as if we're talking about waste, that's probably a drop in the bucket compared to what's going on in 2022 that we won't know about till 10 more years. If you're dealing with bureaucracy, you're going to be dealing with some sort of lack of oversight. You're going to deal with incompetence, or you're going to deal with a lot of deliberate graft. But as far as back to the subject, America right now is the #1 military power on earth. China is a distant second. Nobody else is really in that ballpark. We have enough weaponry to be able to fund and defend ourselves, defend this country for the next maybe like 50 years. To the point that we are the number one, I don't want to butcher this, but I think we're the number one weapon supplier on earth, if I'm not mistaken. There's always going to be money for that. There would not be a really big dent in America's defense budget if we took some of this income and we started looking at maybe dispersing this money out to people who definitely need it, people who are homeless, even homeless veterans who have to go and fight for everything they get after they've served this country. There is a lot. I think there's so much bulk and there's so much pork in the American government, and so many people are benefiting from that people who are poor and middle class are going to suffer the most. And they're already talking about another recession coming down the road. It's going to get really desperate. And to the point of the Democrats, obviously this is an election year. People who would ostensibly be voting Democrat are paying very close attention to where people's priorities are right now. People are living hand to mouth. People see money going over to the Ukraine. People see money going everywhere else except for the people who are right here. People who are, especially black voters, who are supposed to be the quote unquote bedrock of the Democratic Party, are seeing all this stuff flying out left and right, where their material conditions are still the same. That's going to affect them in the ballot booth coming up real soon. And if they don't understand that, and it seems like they're determined not to, it's going to be a disaster come in the midterms, and especially in 2024. There's a reason,
Michael, why there's a defense contractor in every congressional district in America.
Well, defense is always big money. When we go back last week, we talked about World War II. We talked about the arsenal of democracy, and General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler had massive contracts with the federal government to produce military weapons, to produce Jeeps and B-24 Liberator bombers and things like this. There's always big money in defense contracts. $125 billion in waste. Yes, they need to reduce the fat, cut the fat, reduce the waste when it comes to the federal budget. But also I think something that's very important for us to do, Roland, and maybe not on this show, but maybe in a future show. The fiscal year 2023 federal budget is about $7 trillion. It's available right now. I think it'd be good for us to go through that budget and see where this money is allocated, not just for defense, but overall general. We can look at defense. One of the things I want to know is, how is the money for the Defense Department allocated? What is it allocated for? But that's part of whatever's allocated to defense is part of approximately $7 trillion that the federal budget is. We need to look and see where that money is allocated as well, because one of the reasons why we look at see where that money is allocated also is because there are opportunities for contracts for African-American owned businesses as well with some of that money also. So we need to see. Well,
bottom line is the federal government spends $560 billion every year on contracts, and we're getting 1.67%. And so you can read the budget, but you got to have some folks who actually make some changes to how that money is actually going out. Kelly, comment.
No, I said what I said earlier. It is ridiculous how much we are wasting money on an export that does not necessarily benefit the American people. We have, literally Americans who are starving, and people would rather invest in an upgraded tank than, infrastructure and, fixing food deserts and the like. So, until we realize that people matter over wars, then we're going to continue this cycle, at least in this country.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?